checking names off our list, and the goal this season to have every Big 12 coach on the show. Today, very excited to welcome back for his second appearance, BYU softball head coach Gordon Eakin. Coach Eakin, welcome back to the 1012, sir.
Thank you.
Very excited to have you here. Very excited to talk about this team this year. I mean, BYU's start so far has really impressed me. I mean, I'm very excited to see what they have done up to this point, and how excited I am to see them now that Big 12 play is about to get started. I mean, how are you and your staff feeling about this team at this point in the year?
I would say that they're still a little bit of an anomaly to us. We're a good team. We have talent, and of course we're winning, but we thought we would be a little stronger offensively than we've seen this year. We've had ups and downs. We've had, about half of our games where we've scored in double digits and half of them where we've struggled to score. And fortunately, our pitching has really been solid and kept us in and won games for us. And so we kind of expected that to be in reverse. We expected to score a lot of runs and to give up a few with a young pitching staff, but it's kind of been a reverse of that. So in all my years, I've decided I'm just not a very good predictor of what's going to happen during a year.
It's so hard to know until you actually get them out there on the field sometimes. And I think this is a case a lot of times across sports. If you see them in practice over and over again, you get an idea. But once they're actually out there and in the circle and in the box and in the field, that's when you really start to kind of get to know this team. I mean, and you hit the nail on the head so far offensive explosion one weekend, and then the runs seem a little bit more of a struggle the next, but the pitching has been lights out. What is it you think so far is there a reason for the offensive up and down? I mean, that kind of is a thing across softball in general. You never know. It's going to be a 1-0 game this, Friday morning, and Friday night you're playing in a 13-2 run rule. So that seems like part of softball, but you kind of started to identify where it is with this team where you can start to kind of push some buttons and get things a little bit more evened out.
Yeah, I've been trying to push them, and I'm not positive I'm pushing the right ones. We had a good weekend last weekend, and we're pretty effective offensively for the most part, but not to the degree we think we should be. So I keep trying to push those buttons. I'm not positive I'm pushing the right buttons, but I'll keep trying. And, I think I know our team every year, and I think I know what they'll do. And the competition starts, and I'm always off a little bit from what I thought. So I'm just going to kind of put my best foot forward and let them play and see where the score ends up.
You mentioned your pitching, and it has been lights out. I mean, the best team ERA in the Big 12 so far with a 1.82. Korth has been absolutely phenomenal for you. Case in Korth with a 0.28 ERA. Well, I'm not trying to compare, apples to apples, but so far that's better than Nyjah Kennedy's ERA at this point in the season. And I'm not trying to compare the two. It's just like she has been phenomenal for you guys so far. Did you see this kind of a performance coming from her this year, or is this even a surprise to you all?
Well, she showed that in her freshman year, and then of course last year she was hurt and had to redshirt. So this is what she's capable of, and it's really hard to compare Nigeri's ERA and Kaysen's because they've played a little bit tougher schedule than we have, and I don't know which game she's even thrown and which she hasn't. But it's kind of apples and oranges. But if you have an ERA the way Kaysen does, it doesn't matter who you're playing. That's pretty darn impressive, and we expected it.
Yeah, again, 0.28, 51 innings. Like, I don't care who you're pitching against. That is incredibly impressive. She's been phenomenal. I mean, the entire lineup has been as well. Kate Dahl has been great for you guys. Jada Villegas has been really good. Like, you've got a I've talked about this a lot last season, and anymore with softball, you can't just have one ace. Like you have to have two or three arms to really go far in a season. And it really, I mean, from what we've seen so far, it really feels like you've got three arms in that lineup who is fully capable of winning you guys games, game in and game out.
Yeah, and we're due to get another one back this weekend. Gianna Maris has been she was our freshman phenom last year that had a win against Oklahoma and a win against Oklahoma State, and she was a typical freshman where she'd throw lights out in one game and then struggle a little bit the next game. But she had a injury that has put her out to this point. Didn't practice all fall. We weren't sure we were going to get her back at all this year, but she's been cleared to start playing. And in her workout today, she was hitting 65 miles an hour with good control back on day one. And so we're going to get her back as a left-handed arm to go along with our other pitchers in our pitching staff. And I think that's really going to help us as well.
And that's got to be exciting to see how well your pitchers are already performing, and to know that you're going to add somebody else to that collection that is as talented and has had the ceiling that she had just last year to be back in. That's that. I mean, I'm excited for you guys.
Yeah, we're glad to have her back. You always will take all the arms you can, but a left-handed arm that can do what she has done and is capable of doing, we're really excited to put her in on the staff now.
It's phenomenal. And look, we talk about pitching, but the defense has been great for BYU as well. I mean, you lead the Big 12 with a .977 fielding percentage, which is awesome. Like, even if the offense comes and goes, it really feels like between the pitching and the defense, I mean, when the offense is clicking, this just feels like a really good team you guys have this year.
Yeah, I mean, if we can start, um, we're doing pretty well in two of the three phases with, if you were to call it that way, with pitching and defense. We're pretty consistent in those areas. Of course, the Big 12 hitters, I think, will present some new challenges to our pitching staff. But I think we're capable of hanging in games and winning games with our pitching staff and our defense. When our offense starts clicking, we'll be a formidable opponent for sure.
Walk me through this non-conference for you guys. Like I said, 14-4 start. You've put together a few nice wins, a couple that you wish you could have had back. That Duke game, so tough to lose 1-0 and to have that performance against what's a really good Duke squad this year. But through non-conference, where do you feel like this team is at? If you were to say on a 1 being need a ton of work and 10 being playing our best softball.
We're kind of in the middle. I think we're probably a 6 right now, where we just need to be better offensively, and if we can get more productive offensively, then we'll. I don't know if you ever get to a 10, but we'll be certainly a lot closer to that if we can start performing a little bit better offensively.
Okay, I think that's fair. So,
and we
Big
have
12,
the talent to do it. We have the talent to do it, and the ability to do it. It's just got to start clicking.
Yeah, I mean, and look, you've gotten Brittingham and Milkowski and Townsend and Morrow. Like the batting lineup has so much potential. All of them are fantastic, and if you start to see that consistency, I mean, the potential is there. Who do you feel like is the batter who has yet to really break out this year, that you look at and say, I know she's got so much more, and if she gets it going, look out?
I would say there's 2 or 3 hitters in our lineup that are like that. Haley Morrow is one that is an incredible talent, and she's not doing poorly, but she's not performing the way she's capable of, and I have no doubt that she will. So certainly Haley Morrow is one. Janica Acosta, who's a freshman, I think she had a really nice streak in our second and third weekends, where she got really hot and did really well, and then she's been cold. maybe for her last 15 at bats, but if she picks it back up again, she'll really help us. Um, Kayla Kamoku has the potential to be extremely good, but she's been off so far this year. So if Kayla gets it going, she'll add a ton of power numbers for us. And then Alea Agbayani and Maddie Udall are both capable of doing a lot more than they've done, and both did more last year than how they're producing this year.
Big 12 play starts this weekend. You guys are headed to Arizona State, a team that I'm sure you've very familiar with and played many times already. What are your thoughts on the new schools that have joined for softball in Utah, Arizona, Arizona State? Does this help you? Do you feel like this is a benefit to your program, having more schools that are in a closer proximity that you have probably a little bit more history with, just from a playing standpoint?
I don't know that the history makes a difference, but the quality of those programs makes a difference for the Big 12, and then by extension for us, the more quality programs you can have in your conference, the more it lifts you as a program, and it gets you to see good competition all the time. And I mean, they're both three tremendous programs, and Arizona's playing as good as anybody in the country right now, currently.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Arizona is really good, and Utah, I mean, they've been stellar the last few years, and I'm just waiting for them to hit their stride. So I think they're great additions to the Big 12, and they're going to present challenges for everybody in the Big 12.
We heard all about the Holy War, leading once the announcement that Utah was joining, and in football it was fantastic. We've seen it in basketball. I mean, does the softball rivalry? Do you feel like it matches with the other sports when it comes to BYU versus Utah?
I think the rivalry is pretty intense with every sport. With BYU and Utah, I don't think it matches football. I mean, that's big time stuff, and you have tens of thousands of fans and hundreds of thousands of fans watching games where it's just a smaller scale. So I'm not sure anything really rivals the rivalry with football. But every sport, it's a pretty intense rivalry between Utah and BYU.
I'm excited to see that one this year. Again, it comes in with so much history as far as rivalries go. The Big 12's lost so many rivalries because of teams that have left. To add a rivalry of its caliber has been pretty awesome to see in the Big 12 and have that be a part of the Big 12 conference now. So I'm certainly excited to catch the first Utah BYU softball game with you both members of the Big 12 conference. BYU, of course, you guys in your second year in the conference. How do you feel like year one went? Just adjusting to being in the Big 12, being in a conference so different than the West. You guys were in the West Coast Conference before, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like, what were some of the takeaways you had from year one in the Big 12?
It was a tremendous experience for us because we went into the conference with a very good team, a veteran team, and we thought we were going to go ahead and compete, with everybody in the conference. And then right out of the chute as the year started, we lost Case and Korth to injury. And she was our number one pitcher. And then we had two more injuries to our pitching staff with Alyssa Aguilar and an ACL, and Hina Huber had thoracic outlet syndrome surgery. So we lost three pitchers immediately, and one of them being Kaysen, which was a big blow to us. And so we were really left as the year went on with two freshmen to go into a brand new conference with Oklahoma and Texas and Oklahoma State and Baylor. You can go all down the list, which was pretty daunting. But what we learned was to be resilient. We learned that we could take a punch and we could come back and punch back and oftentimes be successful. So I'll give you one example. Houston hits the ball really well, and they came into our ballpark and they had 8 runs in the first inning and we didn't have an out. and that was off of our freshman. And I mean, it was just one of those experiences that we had multiple times through the year. We came back and won that game in extra innings. We won it 17-15, something like that anyway, maybe 16-14, something up there. But it was just a really good learning experience that we can take a punch. We can rely on depth on our roster and still be successful. And so that was just one experience early in the year. And then we beat Oklahoma State at home with that same young pitching staff and banged up pitching staff. And then we went into Oklahoma and we beat them in Norman. Our two freshmen won. Gianna Mara started that game and Kate Daly finished it, both freshmen. So huge win in Norman against Oklahoma. And then we went into the conference tournament with Oklahoma State as our first draw, and we beat them in the conference tournament, all with young pitching. So I think the first year was a real growth opportunity for us to realize we have to play the game no matter where the cards fall, no matter who's hurt or no matter what we're dealt. We have to play the game, and we're capable of playing the game with the talent and the depth we have on the team. And we don't overreact now. If somebody punches us in the mouth right out of the bat, we just keep pushing and keep playing, and sometimes really good things happen. So I think when you're in a power conference, you notice that a lot of teams get run ruled in the power conference. If you're talking about two SEC teams, one will run rule the other, and then the next day it'll be reversed. Whether that's the SEC or the Big 12 or the Big 10 or whatever, that's just the nature of power conference softball. And we didn't know that when we were in the WCC. You know, if we would have, nobody punched us in the mouth in the WCC. If we lost 2-1. So it was a really good experience for us to learn that we can survive even when things aren't perfect, and we are going to continue to compete. So it was I probably wouldn't have scripted it any other way if I could go back and do it another way. Although we had a really powerful offense, it would have been nice to see what we could have done with pitching.
Yeah, no, the injuries. I mean, the injuries just, man, they I don't know what to say this. They suck, and it's. I mean, we talked with Coach Bartlett last week about the injuries to her roster last year and how debilitating that was. And so, you know, it's always great to see a team be able to be healthy, knock on wood, and see what they can do. Especially when you see a team and you look at the roster, and on paper at least, you're saying that this team's got some potential. This team could be fun, and then to see some injuries kind of derail that to some extent, and to I mean, to your credit and your staff's credit and your team's credit, the fact that you were one of the first teams out of the postseason last year, like, despite the injuries to your pitching staff, like, I know it stinks to have not been in part of the tournament, and I disagree with that decision, but I'm a little bit biased. But to still see the season you had with those injuries, I think is incredible. And it just, you look at this team now, and again, healthy right now, like, it's hard not to be excited and to see a lot of potential for BYU. And I'm thrilled to see you guys in year two, because I think your takeaway there and what you said about learning the resiliency and what it's like to play in a power conference, I think it's a great answer. And I think it's a great takeaway for you and for your girls.
I agree.
So look, I'm excited. This weekend should be fun. Like I said, starting Thursday, you guys are in Tempe against Arizona State. Again, mentioning Coach Bartlett. What are you guys, aside from just going in, playing game to game, trying to get some wins? Is there something you're going into this series kind of looking for or hoping to see from your team in particular?
Well, we know that Arizona State is tough at home. They play a lot of home games. They're very, very familiar with their ballpark. We're sure we're going to have to play great to win there, but we're just going to go in there and play the game one pitch at a time, and um, hope to stay out of the big innings for the other teams and have a few for ourselves, and try to play the game for the love of the game, and not be overreactive to situations as they occur. That's one thing as a coach I've had to learn through my career is to not overreact and set things back even farther by overreacting, which is really difficult for a coach to do. But we're just going to go in there and try to play pitch by pitch, inning by inning, and hopefully the outcome will be good.
Coach, I appreciate your time today. I do. I'm gonna wrap this up with a couple of just fun, quick questions to throw at you that I've been throwing at players and coaches this season. So, number one, peanut butter and jelly. What is your jelly of choice?
Honey.
Okay, it's okay. So, Coach Bartlett gave the same answer, which is great because my kids, that's a go-to for school lunches is peanut butter and honey. So, it's delicious. I agree. Okay, if you had a walk-up song, what would it be?
Oh, geez. I would say probably My Way.
Okay.
It's
Okay.
a little slow for a walk-up song, but that's kind of my generation.
I like it though. No, that's good. That's good. It fits. Got to fit the. Got to fit the player. All right. That's okay.
Yeah.
Um, who would you say is the biggest trash talker on this year's team?
On our team,
Yeah. Yes.
well, I could easily answer that, but I think I will keep that one private.
Okay. Okay. That's fine. That's fair. Um, I know we have respect for every single program and every single school, but is there one team or one field or location in the Big 12 that you guys are really excited or have, aside from Utah, obviously, that have circled to play this year?
Well, we don't play Oklahoma State this year,
Mhm.
which is a disappointment to me because I think Coach Gajewski is a great coach and runs a great program, and I respect him completely. And um, just like the things that he does, and so it's disappointing we don't get to play them this year. But I think of all the other schools, the trip I'm kind of looking forward to is going to Baylor.
Okay.
Again, Glenn Moore is a great coach, a good friend, and I've never played at Baylor, so I'm really looking forward to going there and competing against uh, Glenn's team, and hopefully I feel the same once we've done it.
Yeah, you guys have that series coming up at the end of April. I have not been out there either. I would very much love to go, but I mean, look, conversations with Coach Moore, he seems like an absolute stand up guy, and so that should be a fun series to watch as well. Coach Eakin, again, thank you so much for your time. I know you're a busy guy. I know you guys have a lot to get prepared for this week and this weekend. So good luck to your team as Big 12 play starts, and good luck to your girls for the entire season.
Okay, well, thanks for having me again.